Tales of Halloween. Released October 16, 2015. This is an anthology, so get ready. Directed by Neil Marshall, Darren Lynn Bousman, Axelle Carolyn, Lucky McKee, Andrew Kasch, Paul Solet, John Skipp, Adam Gierasch, Jace Anderson, Mike Mendez, Ryan Schifrin, and David Parker. Written by Carolyn, Kasch, Marshall, McKee, Mendez, Parker, Schifrin, Clint, Sears, Skipp, and Greg Commons. Starring Adrienne Barbeau, Barry Bostwick, Alex Essoe, Lynn Shaye, Barbara Crampton, Pollyanna McIntosh, Adam Green, Sam Witwer, John Landis, and Joe Dante. Quite the cast. Adrienne Barbeau is our unnamed DJ, clearly a nod to her role in John Carpenter's The Fog. The very beginning is the only time we see her. The rest of the role is a voiceover, which is honestly disappointing. So since this is an anthology, I'm going to do this like I did Nightmare Cinema. Go over each segment, give them a grade, then an overview and overall grade at the end. Cool? Cool. Sweet Tooth. A kid dressed as Snake Plissken from Escape from New York, love that movie, is gorging on candy when the boyfriend of his babysitter tells him to save some and the story of Sweet Tooth. Timmy, Sweet Tooth, had really douchey parents who would let him go trick-or-treating but not let him eat the candy. He finds out that his parents would actually eat the candy while also making out with it, so, naturally, he hacks them away with a meat cleaver, eats all the candy, including what's already in his parents' stomachs, rips out the guts and eats the candy. Now, his spirit comes back, and if you leave an offering of candy, he'll take all of... If you don't leave an offering of candy, he'll take all of yours and then kill you. So the kid leaves a piece of candy, which the babysitter and the boyfriend eat the rest, because they're dicks. Sweet Tooth, looking like a zombie, okay, soon thrusts his arm down the boyfriend's throat, pulling out the intestines, and then kills the babysitter off screen. The parents come home to find them both slaughtered, and the kid is all like, "They had all my candy," which very much makes it look like the poor kid brutally murdered these two people. This one was fun. It's a cool concept of a vengeful spirit desperate for all the candy. But making him look like a zombie instead of a spirit was kind of meh. The overall look and the special effects were good, but overall disappointing that the kid was now randomly an adult zombie. If fleshed out, though, this really could be a fun slasher. A-. The night Billy raised hell. The boyfriend convinces his girlfriend's younger brother to trick 4 treats. The neighbor apparently hates Halloween, which, who the hell hates Halloween? So, egg his house or we'll tell everyone you piss your pants. He goes to throw the egg, but a guy with horns, played by Barry Bostwick, comes out and catches him. He pulls the kid into the house, and his sister just runs away. Your younger brother was literally just kidnapped by the neighbor in front of you. Shouldn't you do something? Assumedly, he is the devil, and he'll show the kid what a real Halloween is. So with the devil, the kid shivs a guy, sets fires, robs people at gunpoint, steals Adrienne Curry's car, and just causes overall chaos. Back at the house, the kid is tied up. It's a little demon in his costume. Letting the kid go, the cops approach him. He pisses his pants, the cops are grossed out, and then it cuts to black to gunshots. Did they kill this kid? I couldn't really get into this one. It's a nice little twist that it wasn't the kid, and the segment is overall well made, but the devil was a little too over the top for me, like ridiculous and comedic over the top. Bostwick played it very well, but I felt like it was presented as more evil instead of humorous. It would have come across better. C. Trick. A little girl in a witch costume shows up to a house with 4 adults. She stabs the shit out of one of the guys and says, "Trick." One of the women run to the car, but she gets her Achilles slashed by a kid under it and then beaten by the entire group. The other guy gets set on fire and rat poison is shoved down his throat. It's a lot to take in. The last woman is sitting in a corner deleting photos of the four of them in what looks like they're torturing a child. This took a turn. The light goes on, and she's in a white room with a kid tied to a table, missing an eye. The other kids release the other kid, and that kid kills the bitch with an axe. That was a solid twist. Instead of them being just crazy kids or possessed, they're taking out predators. The segment is fun, well made, and just batshit crazy enough where it doesn't overshadow the overarching story and message. The effects are great too, which is becoming a trend with these segments. Another one that, if fleshed out, I think this could make a really full-length slasher. A. The Weak and the Wicked. 3, what I assume are teens because they're riding bicycles, are picking on another. They're approached by a different teen wearing Viking horns, and he hands them a drawing of a demon saying, "He spills the blood of the wicked, for the wicked have harmed the weak." It's a good line. That is a good line. The woman of the group scares him to run, but they follow. In a parking lot, we get a flashback of 3 kids burying a trailer while another in a bunny costume watches in horror. His parents are apparently inside. Now these kids are just evil. Back to the present, the 3 bullies were the 3 kids, and the bunny costume kid is the guy apparently summoning this demon. They beat the shit out of him until her 2 cronies are pulled away off screen. The demon appears looking like the nemesis from Resident Evil 3 and kills her off screen as blood splats on his face. More of people getting what they deserve. This one, though, I was a little disappointed that all the deaths were off screen. Everything is implied, not seen. Again, though, overall well-made segment, but the story and presentation is lacking. C. Grim Grinning Ghost. Starring a great cast of horror mainstays, the legendary Lynn Shaye tells the story of Mary Bailey, who had a disfigured face and died bullied and unloved, which just sounds mean as hell. So now her spirit comes back to laugh behind people's backs, and if you turn around, she takes your eyes. Barbara Crampton gets a nice little witch laugh to scare Alex Essoe, while Lisa Marie gets a line. The party ends, they go their separate ways. We concentrate on Essoe's character, whose car dies, because, of course. She starts walking, hears laughter, runs home with someone following her. And like the thing following her is like, that's like, I can't really describe it the way it moves, but it's like creepy as hell. She makes it without incident, but inside, she sits down on the couch, looks over to a pale white spirit next to her with a wide grin. Cut to black. With a great cast like Shaye, Crampton, Essoe, and Marie, I was hoping for more of all of them. I love Alex Essoe. So I was ultimately glad that she ended up being like the focal point, as she was great. But it's still disappointing to see Shaye get the one scene, while Crampton and Marie were relegated to mostly being background characters. Very cool concept, though. And the makeup to create the grinning ghost was very, very creepy. Another story that, if fleshed out, I think could make for a great full-length ghost-centric movie. Solid B. Ding Dong. Last Halloween, a woman, played by Pollyanna McIntosh, gets upset that there's kids trick-or-treating. Her husband shows her their dog, dressed as Gretel from Hansel and Gretel, and she turns all red and demon-like and implied that she beat him. This year, she's dressed as a witch to give out candy, while her husband is Hansel. They have a shtick where she pulls Gretel's ear and hair out of her mouth, and like we see kids from the trick segment, and eventually a kid is all alone. And it looks like she's going to take him when the husband notices a woman, and thankfully that's the kid's mom, and they leave. He suggests a break. She pushes him into the oven, and she melts to end it. I feel like this had potential, but it was wasted. Having Pollyanna McIntosh as just a crazed woman in overwhelming grief about not having a child would have been honestly enough. She could have still been been abusive to her husband, turning her into some kind of red demon with extra arms kind of put me out of it. McIntosh is great, though. She takes the chance to really ham it up, and she's the only saving grace of this segment. D. This means war. Two neighbors decorate for Halloween, and there's a montage of them as they get ready. The older guy hates his younger neighbor's display, partly because he's playing loud-ass music. They start wrecking each other's stuff, and eventually they fight themselves. The cops show up, the older guy pushes the other into a stake, and it impales them both to end it. Short, sweet, and to the point. Just not sure what the point is. Old school versus nude school? Nude school? Old school versus new school? Tradition versus something different? The whole thing was just over the top and overall kind of lame. Another well-made segment with a lacking in meh story. D. Friday, the 31st. A woman dressed as Slutty Dorothy is running and finds an old mill hiding. There's plenty of bodies. A big dude in a wooden mask with one eye hole for some reason then appears. She stabs him with a pitchfork, hits his head with a hammer till the mask falls off and we see that he's all disfigured. So he throws a spear at her to kill her. A UFO then appears out of completely nowhere where a little claymation alien beams down saying very adorably, "Twick or tweet." So our killer stomps on it. The alien then goes inside the dead woman's mouth and she fights with our disfigured dude. They take turns stabbing each other, cutting off limbs until they both cut off each other's heads. The alien pops back out, says "Twick or tweet," then beams back up to his ship with the disfigured guy's head. This was a really quick one too. The practical effects and claymation were fantastic. But it was too short to really do anything for me. I loved the nods to Friday the 13th, and the back and forth hacking of each other was fun though. C. The Ransom of Rusty Rex. Two crooks, one of which is Sam Witwer, kidnap the child of a rich guy, played by the legendary director John Landis. They call him to negotiate the ransom, but all they get out of him are, "You've made a terrible mistake," and "You poor bastard, you have no idea what you've done." Both of which very ominous, especially since he just hangs up on him. It's like, is this kid evil? The kid escapes his constraints and turns out it's the demon from the night Billy raised hell. Witwer gets punched in the dick for trying to shoot it, but he and his partner do eventually get the better of it. Calling Landis' character back, he reveals that he's been held hostage by that thing for 5 years and that it is their problem now. So they dump it on his doorstep and set it on fire. But at a rest stop, it appears in the back of the van, eating Witwer's partner. This one started pretty dark, with the kidnapping of a kid, and then did a complete 180. And it works. Sam Witwer is fantastic, while John Landis gets to show off his acting chops for a change. This really could have benefited from being a little longer to give the demon and Landis a bit more backstory, though. But it's still a fun watch. B. The final segment, Bad Seed. I'm running out of breath, all this talking. A carved pumpkin comes to life and chomps on a guy's head. It escapes through the doggy door. On a random doorstep, it proceeds to bite the hand of a kid and then completely eat him, which is a pretty cool visual and effect. At the police station, the captain reveals that every Halloween, this town just goes crazy, which reveals definitively that this is all taking place in one night in one town. The pumpkin is causing chaos, including setting fires, so our detective shoots, misses, runs out of ammo, so out of nowhere, another cop shows up, throws her a shotgun, she's able to kill it. It is revealed that this pumpkin is 100% organic super pumpkin from some, farm lab. At the lab, legendary director Joe Dante is the scientist growing these super pumpkins, and it is shown that there is a massive hangar full of them. This one was definitely a weird one to end on. The tone is mostly humorous, but it also tries to be serious at times, and it doesn't work. It's cool seeing Joe Dante get to do a bit of acting, and the effects for the pumpkin are solid. This one just didn't click with me, but it's overall still well made, like the others. C. That was a lot. Well, it's your standard 90-minute movie, but there was 10 segments. Having that many, I feel, hurt the movie a bit. Should have really been cut in half, 6 tops. It would have given some of them more time to shine, as I think some of these had massive potential. It's a hodgepodge of directors, ranging from Neil Marshall, director of The Descent, Darren Lynn Bousman, director of 4 Saw films, to a number of indie directors. There's a few members of horror royalty and mainstays, while there's also some that went on to become known stars. The tone is completely all over the place, with some more serious and horror-centric, while others went horror comedy, and others borderlined more comedy than horror. The talent of Adrienne Barbeau is wasted in a split-second appearance in the beginning, and then all voiceover. She does kind of tie things together at times, but with multiple characters appearing in multiple segments, the film was already doing that. I think she would have been better suited being a main character in a segment instead of just paying homage to her character in The Fog. Averaging all 10 grades, 1A, 1A-, 2 Bs, 4 Cs, 2 Ds, I give Tales from Halloween a C+. Thank you for watching Fatman Inc Horror. Leave a like if you enjoyed and a comment to discuss your thoughts. Make sure to subscribe to see more reviews of horror movies new and old. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.